Hello and a very warm welcome. Through the course of this video lecture, we will be looking at your General Awareness Class Assignment 4. Now, in General Awareness Class Assignment 4, we'll be covering important topics of awards, sports, science, banking awareness, world bodies. You get questions based on international and important world bodies, your other organizations. So this will be a very important unit where we'll cover topics like science, banking awareness, sports, awards, and world bodies, right? So let's just quickly dive into the General Awareness Class Assignment 4. We'll start first with the warm-up exercise. You've got about 19 to 20 questions in the warm-up exercise, and these questions are from history, they're questions from general awareness, they're questions from polity, and they're all important questions that you need to know about. And a couple of questions are there, one or two questions are there from brands also. So we will let's just quickly get started, and we'll look at all these aspects through the course of this session. Now, the first question that you have, who is known as the Punjab Kesari Lion of Punjab, right? So, who's known as Punjab Kesari or the Lion of Punjab? The correct answer is Lala Lajpat Rai, right? So, as you can see on your screen also, this is the image of Lala Lajpat Rai. This is a quotation from Lala Lajpat Rai that if I had the power to influence Indian journals, I would have the following headlines printed in bold letters: milk for the infants, food for the adults, and education for all. So that's Lala Lajpat Rai, called as the Punjab Kesari. Right, so Lala Lajpat Rai, he's an Indian Punjabi author and politician. He's remembered for the fight for independence against the British Raj, and he's popularly got this cult name as Punjab Kesari or the Lion of Punjab. He's also called Shere Punjab in Punjabi, right? So you need to remember that Lala Lajpat Rai is the correct answer for this question, right? He is the Lion of Punjab. Lala Lajpat Rai is a Lion of Punjab, Shere Punjab, or Punjab Kesari. He's famously written this quotation: defeat and failure are sometimes necessary steps of victory. So even if you're not performing well in your mocks, you keep on taking that as a kind of a motivation that no, you will definitely score better in your main exams. Coming on to the next question, very simple yet important question. Who is popularly known as father of the Indian Constitution? You will definitely get questions from polity, and you need to remember that in polity, constitution plays a very important role, right? If you want in-depth, detailed knowledge also, you can refer to class 11th NCERT book on constitution. Otherwise, we will be covering most of the important points, and especially the points which are very important from your exam point of view related to polity, and we'll also revise polity, history, geography properly in a proper order as well later, after once when we are done with all the assignments, right? But still keep on revising, refreshing your memory. These are all important aspects, and if you have doubts in the videos, then you can definitely get back to us. So who's popularly known as father of Indian Constitution? So here it's very, very clear. B.R. Ambedkar, Baba Sahib Ambedkar, he's famously called as the father of the Indian Constitution. He's drafted a major bulk of it, right? So very, very important. Baba Sahib Ambedkar, a Dalit writer who rose to fame because he said that no, your caste should not determine your fate, right? He's called the father of the Indian Constitution, right? So popularly called as Baba Sahib Ambedkar, Dr. Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar. Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar. There was an exam in which they had mentioned what does R stand for in B.R. Ambedkar. R is Ramji. Bhimrao Ramji. Many people get confused and they think it's Rao. No, it's Dr. Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar, right? Of course, very important person when we're talking about modern India, because he's the architect of modern India, because he framed the Indian Constitution, right? And he's saying education can actually be a force which can enable you to rise above all odds. So education for him was extremely crucial. right? Here when you talk about, his main attempt was to eradicate the malpractice of untouchability and caste system. And he also changed, very important, some exams do ask this question, he also changed the working hours in India from 14 to 8 hours. So currently, after you will acquire your degree, you will start working, right? Or maybe you'll again further go for your masters and then you'll start working. So earlier when people used to work, they used to have a 14-hour shift, all right? They used to have a 14-hour shift, but Baba Sahib Ambedkar, or Bhimrao Ramji Ambedkar, he made that, he changed it, and he said no, there has to be some time given to a person for himself or herself also. So therefore he made the working hours from 14 to 8 hours. So now mostly companies have got 8 to 9 hours of work, 9 hours of work plus 1 hour, or that's including 1 hour of break, where he was the one who reduced the number of hours. And of course, his birthday is celebrated as Ambedkar Jayanti. And very famous line, men are mortal, so are ideas. An idea needs propagation as much as a plant needs watering, otherwise both will wither and die, right? So if in case you just keep on thinking and wondering that yes, I will study tomorrow, or tomorrow I will accomplish this, and you don't really act upon it, then it will be futile. It would not be a productive step. So this is what a very important quotation that B.R. Ambedkar had written, that until and unless you don't act on your decisions, you'll never be able to achieve them. And then those ideas, maybe they might be tallest of tall ideas, but then they're not at all helpful. Coming on to two important questions. Now, this is an important question, and I want you to add option 5 also in this question, okay? Your class assignment is only having 4 options, but I want you to add the 5th option also. Now, listen to this question correctly. Now, what is the maximum number of seats in the lower house of the parliament? Now, when we talk about the Indian system, right? In the Indian system, we are having the upper house and the lower house. It's a bicameral system. Bi means 2. It's a bicameral system. We've got an upper house, the Rajya Sabha, which is the Council of States, Again, I'll repeat this. So we've got a bicameral system. We've got the Rajya Sabha and we've got the Lok Sabha. Lok Sabha is a house of people. And Rajya Sabha is a Council of States. Now, please remember, very important, in 2020, January 2020, we've had a constitutional amendment because of which now we are having the maximum number of Lok Sabha members to be 550. Therefore, I want you to add this option 5 in your class assignment, okay? I want you to add this option in your class assignment, option number 5, as 550. Now, why 550? See, earlier it was 552. It was 550 plus 2 Anglo-Indians. But now with the constitutional amendment, these two seats that we had for Anglo-Indians, this has been eliminated, okay? So now the correct answer is option number 5, which is not there in your booklet, so you can add it, 550. So the maximum number of seats in the lower house of the parliament can now, at present, if we speak about it, right, if you're talking about it, April 2020, then we need to remember that 550 is the correct answer. So what is the maximum number of seats in the lower house of the parliament? Lower house of the parliament, that is the House of the People. It's also called the House of the People. Rajya Sabha is called the Council of State. We'll just look at that. And currently, when we talk about the lower house of the parliament, it's having 543 members, okay? So look at the question correctly. Are they asking about the current members? And they'll never ask you the current members. Why? Why will they never ask you? Because that's not static every time. That might change. Maybe some minister decides that he will quit the party, or there's any decision taken for revamping the system. So it's very unpredictable. But they'll ask you questions about the static part, right? In these kind of questions. That doesn't mean that you won't get questions on general awareness. You will definitely get those. And we'll discuss also what kind of questions you'll get, okay? So what is the maximum number of seats in the lower house of the parliament? 550 is the correct answer. The Lok Sabha, which is also called the House of the People, this is the lower house of the Indian bicameral parliament. We've got a bicameral parliament system. Upper house is, of course, Rajya Sabha. Rajya Sabha, also called the Council of States, all right? Now, when we talk about the members of the Lok Sabha, they are elected by people because people exercise their suffrage rights. Suffrage, S-U-F-F-R-A-G-E. That is basically their voting rights. They are exercising, right? Anyone who's above 18 can cast a vote and select the member of their choice, right? And they are elected for a period of 5 years. Rajya Sabha members, Rajya Sabha is a permanent body. Rajya Sabha is a permanent body and it's not dissolved, but 1/3 of its members are changed every 2 years. 1/3 of its members are changed every 2 years, right? So you need to remember this. And the house is of course meeting at the Sansad Bhavan, that is the Lok Sabha chamber. Sansad Bhavan is a Lok Sabha chambers, please remember that. Now, very important, the maximum strength of the house allotted by the Indian constitution is 550. 550. It used to be 552 with 2 members of the Anglo-Indian community, but with the 104th Constitutional Amendment Act 2009. So on 9th December 2019, this was actually raised, and now it's a proper, so in January 2020, this became a proper constitutional amendment which eliminated 2 seats for the Anglo-Indians, and now the maximum capacity, the maximum number of seats in the lower house of the parliament is 552. So remember a couple of things, right? Do remember that now the maximum strength of Lok Sabha is 550. Do remember the 104th constitutional amendment, which has made the maximum number of Lok Sabha members from 552 to 550. Remember this. Remember that the Lok Sabha members are elected by people using their universal suffrage rights, and these people are meeting at the Sansad Bhavan in New Delhi, and the Lok Sabha is dissolved every 5 years, okay, and the Rajya Sabha is a permanent body. So these are some things that you need to keep in mind, okay. Do remember this. So now the maximum capacity is 550. What is the maximum number of seats in the upper house of the parliament? The upper house of the parliament is the Rajya Sabha. This is also called the Council of States, and the Rajya Sabha is a permanent body and it will not get dissolved. First of all, get that in your head correctly. We've been discussing this now for quite some time, and the maximum number of seats in the upper house of the parliament is 250, right? The maximum number of seats in the upper house of the parliament is 250. So Rajya Sabha, also called the Council of the States or the upper house of the Indian Parliament. Article 80 of the Constitution says, you can even remember this, sometimes in some of your intricate exams they ask you this question. So in Article 80 of the Indian Constitution, we have that the maximum strength of Rajya Sabha can be 250. The maximum strength of Rajya Sabha can be 250, out of which 12 members are nominated by the President, and 238 members are representatives of states and the 2 union territories, okay. Do remember this, all right. So 2 union territories are only there, and please remember this is based on the population of each state. The membership is decided. So the maximum number of seats in the upper house of the parliament or the Council of State, the permanent body of the Indian bicameral system, the Rajya Sabha, is 250, which is stated in the Article 80. Okay, so of course you've got the Indian Parliament consisting of Lok Sabha, Rajya Sabha and the President. Rajya Sabha is the upper house or the Council of States. It's called the Council of States. Remember this also. Now, very important, please pay attention to this fact. Now, when you talk about the origin of Rajya Sabha is actually starting with the Montagu-Chelmsford report in 1980. Okay, what you need to remember that it was established for the first time in 1921. It was established for the first time in 1921. The first Rajya Sabha was convened in 1952 in independent India. Okay, so it was first established in 1921, but the first meeting was convened, the first Rajya Sabha is a meeting, was there in 1952. Okay, the maximum strength we've already discussed is 250, out of which 238 are representatives of state and 12 members are nominated by the president. These members are coming from literature, science, art, social service. That's how you've got Rajya Sabha members, like, previously Rekha has been a Rajya Sabha member, Sachin Tendulkar has been a Rajya Sabha member. These were the nominated members, right? They were not the elected representatives, they were not the representatives of states. They were the nominated members by the president, all right, who were coming from fields of literature, art, social service, and science. Remember these fields also. Okay, the current strength that we have is 245, 233 are from states and union territories, and 12 are people nominated by the president. Okay, currently when we talk about the representation will be according to the population. So Uttar Pradesh is having the maximum representation in the Rajya Sabha, followed by Maharashtra and Tamil Nadu, and Delhi and Puducherry are the only two union territories who've got a representation in the Rajya Sabha. So you can get these questions. Remember, maximum strength is 250. Remember that the states are having 238 representatives out of 250, and 12 people are elected by the president who are coming from the field of literature, science, art, and social science. And please remember that these 238 representatives are representatives of states and two union territories, And what are those two union territories? New Delhi, Delhi NCR, and Puducherry. There have been questions that have been asked that out of the 238 members who are representatives of states and two union territories, which are the two union territories from which members of Rajya Sabha are elected, or they are selected? You need to remember Delhi and Puducherry. Okay, so do remember this. If there are any doubts in this, do ask, because these are direct questions that are asked in your exams, and you need to be full-fledgedly well versed with these questions. They need to be on your fingertips. Okay, which is the second highest mountain peak in the world? K2 is the correct answer. At least remember the top three mountain peaks in the world. You've got Mount Everest, then you've got the K2, and then you've got the Kanchenjunga. What used to happen earlier, people used to think Kanchenjunga is the highest mountain peak, but later when people did calculations, they came to know that it was Mount Everest, followed by K2. K2 is the second highest mountain peak, and the third is Kanchenjunga. Okay, so do remember these are the top three important mountain peaks that we are having. The second highest mountain peak is K2. This is called a savage mountain. K2 is called a savage mountain. Why? Because out of the 5 people who will climb, one will definitely die. Alright, it's a very difficult climbing that you need to undertake in order to reach the peak of K2. So therefore it's called a savage mountain. That means it kills everyone. Okay, and it's believed that when you talk about Mount Everest, in Mount Everest there are about 200 bodies of humans, and they are exactly in the same form as people that died, because it's so cold there. It's very chilling. All right, it's extremely chilling a reality to even hear this. Okay, so the second highest mountain peak in the world is K2. Highest mountain peak in the world, that's Mount Everest. They will never give you this question because everyone knows the correct answer for this. However, you can know certain other things about Everest, like the border that is there of Mount Everest, that's between Nepal and Tibet. All right, not the Tibet which is a part of China, but the Tibet which is autonomous. Okay, so when you talk about Mount Everest, the borders between Nepal and Tibet, and the first important climbers of this peak was Sir Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norway in 1953. Remember that. And like I told you, that this is a well-known fact that there are about 200 dead bodies on Everest, and all of them are preserved because it's very cold. It's very cold out there. And also remember, Everest is a part of the 7 summits. Now, what is 7 summits? Now, each continent is having one peak, which is the highest peak in that continent. So it is every mountaineer's dream that they want to complete the 7th summit. That means they want to climb every peak in every continent, which is the highest, right? So Everest is also part of the 7 summits, which is a list of mountains in almost all the 7 continents, right? And climbing all these mountains is the ultimate dream of any mountaineer. Now K2, that, like I told you, it's called the Savage Mountain. Why is it called the Savage Mountain? Because there's definitely a death of every 4 successful climbs. So it's a very, very savage mountain. And K2, which is officially known as the Mount Godwin Austen, okay, or the Choguri. You can remember these names also. This is 8,611 meters above the sea level. The border is between China and Pakistan. All right. The Chinese side is very, very hard to climb, and therefore people usually who are going to who are mountaineers, they usually prefer the Pakistan side of K2. Okay. Mount Godwin Austen or the Chowgiri. This is the second highest mountain peak called the Savage Mountain. And Kanchenjunga, an interesting fact, Kanchenjunga is actually, it was earlier, before Mount Everest was properly considered to be the highest mountain peak. People used to think Kanchenjunga is the highest mountain peak. But later when people had done calculations, then they came to know that this is the third highest mountain peak in the entire world. Okay. And the borders between Nepal and India, right? You can remember that. When you talk about Kanchenjunga is the second highest mountain in the Himalayas. All right, second highest in the Himalayas. So you can just remember this. This is important. And like I told you, until 1852, people used to think that Kanchenjunga is the highest mountain peak. What was the name of the first artificial satellite that was launched by Russia? What was the name of the first artificial satellite that was launched by Russia? Now, Russia had actually launched Sputnik 1. And at that time, what was happening? There was a war between Russia, that was the USSR, the Soviet, and the United States of America. And therefore, United States of America got very worried that, oh, they've already launched their space satellite, their artificial satellite, right? So they got very scared, and they also started making their own version. But you can remember the name of the first artificial satellite that was launched by Russia. That was the Sputnik 1. Okay, it was Sputnik 1. So Sputnik 1, it was way back in 1957, and this inaugurated their space age. With Sputnik 1, Russia actually inaugurated their space age. So on 4th October 1957, the Soviet Union stunned everyone by launching the world's first artificial satellite, Sputnik 1. And this, of course, was something that, you can see this word fledgling, right? You can see fledgling USA. Fledgling is someone who is very immature, very new. So fledgling, we use the word fledgling for them. Someone who's immature, someone who's new. Remember in verbal ability class assignment 2, you had the word neophyte, a beginner. So fledgling is a synonym of the word neophyte or a beginner. Keep on revising, that's important. Okay, so Sputnik 1 is what launched Russia on the space age map. Okay, innovation and you is the tagline of which company? We've actually done this when we talk about general awareness class assignment 2. Now when you talk about innovation and you is a tagline of Philips, right? And Philips has got a target that by 2025 they want to double their customer base, right? By 2025 they want to double their customer base, and therefore they revamped their entire campaign, and that's how you got the tagline innovation and you are important for them. Innovation and you, that is Philips, right? So innovation and you is a new slogan that is used for Philips, right? And this is starting with their new goal for making sure that they are able to double their digits, right? They are able to double their reach by 2025. They want to reach out to 3 billion people for their products, right? So innovation and you is Philips. The banker to every Indian. The banker to every Indian is the tagline of State Bank of India. So State Bank of India got this strategy. They got this tagline, banker to every Indian. That means they are a bank which is available to any and every Indian. So Har Bharatiya ka bank, Har Bharatiya ka bank. So Bharatiya State Bank ya State Bank of India. This is a tagline. You can remember the banker to every Indian. It was a very famous campaign, the banker to every Indian. This is the tagline of the State Bank of India or Bharatiya State Bank. Okay, Har Bharatiya ka bank. The headquarters of PepsiCo is located at. So the current headquarters of PepsiCo is located in Purchase, New York. Purchase, New York is the correct answer here. You need to remember that the current headquarters of PepsiCo is located at Purchase, New York. Option 3, right? So it is having its new headquarters in Purchase, New York. This is one of the largest soft drink manufacturers in the world. PepsiCo's Chicago office is now looking at the Quaker division, Quaker Oats division, right? And of course, the company is made up of three business divisions: PepsiCo American Foods, PepsiCo American Beverages, and PepsiCo International. So you've got PepsiCo American Foods, PepsiCo American Beverages, and PepsiCo International, right? They of course have sodas, juices, coffees, cereals, teas, you name it. In the food industry, they really have it, right? So this is what you need to remember. Business India magazine belongs to which company, group, or person? Business India is basically a party that's being this venture is of Ashok Advani and his brother. So you need to remember that option number 4, Ashok Advani, is the correct answer for this. This is a kind of a good magazine. You can definitely refer to it for all your business related news. Of course, there are other magazines also related to business where you can get your news, but yeah, this is also pretty credible. Otherwise, if you want to enhance your knowledge in business awareness, I would recommend that you read the Mint. The Mint is a newspaper by the Hindustan Times. In a very lucid manner, in a very easy manner, they will explain important things. Even if you're new to banking awareness, even if you don't really have a lot of idea for banking awareness, you'll get a hold of it. So Mint is a paper, but of course Business India is also a magazine that belongs to the Ashok Advani group. Okay, the Ashok Advani group. So Business India, this is a fortnightly, so it comes every 2 weeks. This is a fortnightly business news magazine, and this was founded by Ashok Hotchand Advani, Hero Advani, and Rajkumar Advani. Okay, so Ashok Hotchand Advani, Hero Advani, and Rajkumar Advani. In 1978, it was published in Mumbai, and in 2001, the magazine had a circulation of 88,100 copies, right? And this, of course, increased to about 5,26,000 copies in 2006, right? It's of course considered to be one of the most credible sources when you talk about the Indian business magazine. So Business India, important, credible. But like I said, if you want to literally go through your concepts, Mint newspaper is always very handy. And of course, later Economic Times. Economic Times explains it slightly in a difficult language. So Mint becomes far more easier to grasp. That's the only difference, okay? Alright, so let's just quickly go on. So this is Business India, which is a part of the Advani group, Advani brothers, Ashok Advani, Ashok Hotchand Advani being important. Which FMCG major owns Real, a beverage brand? Real is by Dabur, okay? Dabur is known for its Ayurvedic products, right? So you need to remember that Dabur is the correct answer. So option number 3 is the correct answer. So when we talk about food manufacturing companies, right, the food manufacturing, fast moving consumer goods, as they're called, FMCG is your fast moving consumer goods segment. So when you talk about the Real beverage, that you can see on your screen also, this is basically a product of Dabur. This is a product of Dabur. Dabur is real juice. Dabur's real juice. Dabur is the science of Ayurveda. Dabur is basically the science of Ayurveda. You got the Dabur Chyawanprash, which many people are saying you must eat in order to build immunity. Then you got Dabur, right? So please remember, the real juice that you have is of Dabur's. Which of the following is the correct description of the capital market? Now, when you talk about capital market is a place where people who can give money are giving it to people who need money. So it is a place where you can actually get your transactions done. And people who are giving money, they're giving money in lieu of bonds, they're giving money in lieu of stocks, right, that they're getting. So please remember, and this is a question which is often asked in your banking related exams also, not just in your undergraduate exams, but also sometimes in your banking related exams also. So it's an important question. Which of the following is the correct description of the capital market? So capital market is basically your stock and bonds market. Stock and bonds market. Why is it called stock and bonds market? Because there is a transaction that is taking place between people who want to give money and people who want to receive money. And when you talk about this market, people who are giving money in lieu of, they're giving money in exchange of stocks and bond. Therefore, it is called stock and bonds market also. So option 1 is the correct answer. That which of the following is correct description of the capital market? Which of the following is the correct description of capital market? So stocks and stock markets and bond markets, that's the correct answer. Okay, this is important. Remember this. So, capital market is basically concerned with raising capital. They want to raise capital. They're dealing in shares, bonds, and long term investments. So capital markets is place where people are literally that there's basically a movement, a transaction between suppliers of capital, as you can see here on point number one, supplier of capital and those who need capital, right? And when you talk about the suppliers of capital, they're getting stock and they're getting bond in exchange of it, right? So mostly most capital markets are stock market and the bond market, stock market and the bond market. Okay. Do remember, so the first and the last points are important. Which of the following is not a mode of foreign capital inflow? Now, foreign direct investment is a foreign capital inflow. We'll just see this also. NRI deposits are also part of foreign capital inflow in India, right? When I talk about the FII, this is also a part of your foreign capital inflow. So none of these is the correct answer here. Okay, let's look at some of them. FDI is your foreign direct investments. These are investments which are made by one company into another company which is located in a different country altogether, right? So for example, you've got Apple's investment in China as an example of foreign direct investment, right? So this is definitely getting money inside a different nation. So even FDI in India is getting cash flow inside India. And when you talk about FII is a foreign institutional investor. This is a foreign institutional investor. And when we speak about the FII, when we talk about the FII, the foreign institutional investor, this is an investor in the financial market which is outside official home country, right? So foreign institutional investor is an investor in a financial market outside your official home country, So this is also ensuring that there's an inflow in the foreign country. So for example, India becomes a foreign country, so there is inflow coming in India also. So foreign institutional investor, NRI deposits, then your foreign direct investments, they are all ensuring that there is foreign capital inflow in India. So none of these was the correct answer. If you have any doubts, do let us know. Now, many times we read the term CBS used in banking operations. What is the full form of the letter C? Now, when we talk about C, C is actually standing for core. CBS stands for core banking solutions. Core banking solutions or centralized banking solutions. CBS is standing for core banking solutions or centralized banking solutions, right? Core banking solutions or centralized banking solutions. Now, this is basically a process which is completed in a centralized environment, right? So the CBS that you have is the core banking solutions or the centralized banking solutions. Okay, do remember, this is important. Okay. Where would you find the Great Barrier Reef? Great Barrier Reef is a very popular tourist attraction in Australia. So when you talk about Australia, Australia is having the Great Barrier Reef. The Great Barrier Reef. So the Great Barrier Reef, which is the world's largest coral reef system, is there in the coast of Queensland, Australia. On the coast of Queensland, Australia. Please remember the Great Barrier Reef. This is the largest coral reef which is found in Australia. So this is basically 2,300 kilometer. The Great Barrier Reef. You can see an image of the Great Barrier Reef over here. You can swim, you can snorkel, dive, sail over here across, right? The present Indian monetary system is based on. When you talk about the present Indian monetary system, this is based on the minimum reserve system. All right, this is based on the minimum reserve system. The current monetary system in India is based on the minimum reserve system. Okay, on the minimum reserve system. So you can remember this on the minimum reserve system. So for the issue of currencies, the RBI follows the minimum reserve system currently. The MRS has been followed all the way from 1956 onwards. And when you talk about the minimum reserve system, the RBI has to keep a minimum reserve of 200 crore comprising of gold coin, gold bullion, foreign currencies. That's basically the minimum. This is the reserve that they have to keep. No choice at all whatsoever. And over and above, they can probably do their transactions. So that's the minimum reserve system, which is there as a part of your Indian monetary system. Who's the author of the book, The Audacity of Hope? The Audacity of Hope was a book written by Barack Obama. At that time, Obama was not the president of United States of America. Remember that. It was way before he became the president. He was just one of the mayor leaders there. Okay, he wasn't the president though. So The Audacity of Hope is written by Barack Obama. He talks about spirituality in this book. He's talking about other important aspects. And he also talks about his heartbreak in politics, okay, in this book, The Audacity of Hope. This is the second book, though. This is the second book that he had written. So you can remember this, and of course, this became one of the best international bestsellers in 2006. And this was, of course, one of the most important subject in his 2008 election campaign, also. All right. Which of the following is the tallest building of the world? The Burj Khalifa, which is 828 meters long, is one of the tallest buildings of the world, right? So when you talk about the Burj Khalifa in Dubai, this was completed in 2010. The Burj Khalifa with 828 meters is one of the tallest buildings of the world. Beautiful sight if you look at it. So that Burj Khalifa is the correct answer. What does the URL stands for? URL is your Uniform Resource Locator. When you use the address bar, you have to input the address of the website. This is a website locator. So this is a Uniform Resource Locator. That's the full form of URL. And what is this? This is also called web address, right? And the URL is basically something which looks like, as you can see, http www.example.com. So this is what a URL is. That's your Uniform Resource Locator. So here we have looked at your warm-up exercise. If there are any doubts, any problems in any of the questions, please do get those back. Remember history, polity, brand awareness, banking awareness, issues that are current, important static GK questions like the tallest building, the most important or the largest coral reefs in the world. These are definitely questions that you need to remember. Taglines are also equally important. If there are any questions, any doubts, please do get back to us. Thank you so much.